Hello and welcome to this video. This is going to be a very challenging lab, and we're going to learn a lot about specifically manipulation of certifications through JWT assertion in order to get access. So I just want to show you a little bit about the lab just to give you a heads up. This lab is huge. I'm not sure if you noticed, but you can't even see the scroll bar. It just goes down and down. But anyways, we won't be reading from this lab guide. I made the diagram over here. And if you want to see the format of the lab through the diagram, it's still the same thing. You just keep scrolling down. But anyways, yeah, this lab is going to be fun. Let's go ahead and get into it. So firstly, we start with Mark Lantern over here. And we got his cred, so let's go ahead and authenticate. And if you have seen my other videos, you'll know that the way to authenticate is through this terminal. It's great because it has multiple tabs. For authentication, just as always, we need to get those two basic main APIs. Got to get that management API and that graph API. Once we have these two, we'll be able to quickly and effectively enumerate most of the things involved from this guy's point of view. So let's go ahead and see if we can get in through AZ login, shall we? So we got completely blocked from AZ login. Dang. All right, let's see if it's a management API that's the problem. So let's connect through connect AZ account. Enter in Mark's password. You know, I think passwords are going to go extinct. I don't think passwords are going to stay alive for much longer. I think we're going to use our eyes instead. So as you can see, we do not have a subscription, aka there's no management API for us, aka hopefully we got some graph access. So let's go ahead and authenticate to the graph API using connect mg graph. And now that we are here, it seems like we have successfully authenticated to mg graph. All right, and our next move, as you can see here in the diagram, is to get the groups of the user. And the groups of the user are going to be kind of important, as you can see. As you'll see, we'll find that our user is in fact in a group. So I'm just going to pull out this little kind of mini script that I have for getting me the basic information of the group. Now, you can always formulate your own, or you can copy paste this. If there's anything that you want to copy from video, you know that you can just take a screenshot and put it into ChatGPT. But long story short, all this does is get mg user member of, and then our user specified in order to get his group, any group that he is in. And then it formats it to only show me these three things: the display name, the description, and this created date time, which I'm not sure why that's there, but you know what? We got two groups here. The first one is the default directory, which doesn't matter. And then we have crypto operations. So crypto operations seems kind of juicy. I'm thinking like maybe we get some access to crypto and maybe we can just steal a bunch of digital money and, you know, who knows where we go from there. But since we got this group, let's go ahead and enumerate some more about this group, try to find out some more information. So let's go and get this command, get mg group, specifying the ID of the group. Just get a little bit of info about the group. And when I mean a little bit, I mean a lot. Check this out. Boom. PowerShell for you. All of this is so valuable information. But you know, there are other reasons as to why PowerShell is so great. But you know, let's go ahead and take a look at this information. We got the description again, the ID. We got, it looks like it has a mail, crypto operations at MegaBigTech, SMTP, proxy address. All right. Okay, we got some information going. So that's all great. And let's actually take a look at this from a different point of view. As you can see in the diagram, we find some other users, and the CLI is all nice and dandy. However, I feel like I want to look at it from a GUI standpoint. So going in here to my commands, my list of commands, I'm going to go and get the road recon commands in order to see a GUI view of this user and his group. You put in these commands, let road recon run. I'm going to use a different user's creds, but you know, you can probably use the same user's creds if you want. This user, I got it from a different lab on the same platform, from the same company, as you can see. We got the caps. We don't have a caps problem. Let's go ahead and check out this group and what it's all about. Whew. All right, so go over to the users. Let's search Mark. Okay, and Mark is shown to be in crypto operations. Always nice when you can just click it. And we do that to go over here and take a look at the user members. We see that we also got Adrian and Samantha Shade. Now, this is kind of critical because we actually laterally moved to one of these users. And so having that awareness of who's in the group, who's in the environment that my compromised user is in, where can I go next, is going to really help us in our engagements. And this is one of the ways we can do that very quickly is through road recon. So let's put our Callie away. Callie, you know, Callie's too serious a little bit sometimes. So let's take her back over there. And now let's check something real quick. Let's check if our user has an O365 license. And that would be fun if he does. Cannot find path. All right, so if we run this command, get mg user license detail, we can see that our user has 2 licenses. And as soon as we know that our user has 2 licenses, I want you to get up out of your chair and catapult yourself into the world of emails and messages, because we're about to go to the OneNote, Outlook, Microsoft emails. And this is what it's all about over here. So you got Mark Lantern. And we're trying to go to the emails. So we're going to get there. As you can see here, once we know that we have these 9 dots over here, that's when it's game over, because we have this entire directory to choose from. So like I said, we know that they have 2 licenses. We know that there are emails. So what we want to do is we want to check the 365 stuff about this user. So let's go into check some teams. Let's see if maybe they're in the same team of their group, and it does not seem like it. Activity. You got some Ryan Lynn Lynn action going on, but that's for a different lab. So we're not going to delve into that. We got some stuff over here. Let's go and check something else. I told you that we should check emails. So let's go ahead and check emails. Ryan Lynn. Oh, I'm on Ryan Lynn. Whoops. Sign out. You got to get into the correct user. Mark Lantern. All right. So can I go back? I'm here, Mark Lantern. Oh, finally. All right. We seem to do it. It's going into the correct service with the correct user. And that's what it's all about, really, is, you know, as red teamers, kind of underline the ability to just survive in such an environment like Azure. All right. We are now signing in as Mark Lantern for the 5th time. Oh, we got an email. Work brilliantly together. And that's what it's all about. I mean, look, you can do it on your own. It's the group one member, so it's kind of deceiving for my wisdom quote. But working together as a group, you just get things done a lot faster. And that's why you'll find in projects, projects where the owner of the project takes it onto himself to finally be a cooperative human being, that project will probably be successful. So we just checked emails. We checked Teams. Teams is kind of a hazardous location where other users kind of infest my session in this browser. However, let's go ahead and check SharePoint. Okay, looks like we got some stuff on SharePoint. Look at this. We got a SharePoint that has the same name as our group. Ooh, we got a bunch of stuff in here. Firstly, CBA note. Notes are always fun. And so we have general password for certificate-based authentication. All right. So we'll keep this somewhere. Go ahead and place this in our notes. And as red teamers, we have to stop doing this. Like, we have to stop pasting something in our note. But you know what? I think that AI is taking over anytime soon anyways. So hopefully we won't have to worry about that. Going back to our SharePoint. Let's take a look at what else we have. So we found a CBA note. We have some site pages. Even Mark Lantern viewed it 4 minutes ago. And we have site assets, and we have Azure commands. Quick note, Azure commands is kind of useful if you want to download it. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. It's called user, and I love users. So let's download that. I've already downloaded it. And it looks like it's a cert. So let's take out our PowerShell back over here. Go to my cyber directory. And as you can see here, user, I have downloaded it, and it is it's a PFX file. So with PFX files, we can check out what it's all about, kind of unpack it, if you will. So just to give you a rundown of what we did thus far, we authenticated to mggraph, and then we got the users that are also in our group, and then we found that there's an M365 license. And so we went into the SharePoint and we downloaded the cert. And so now let's go in here and see what this cert is all about. Oh, I do this on this command, you do it on Linux. So let's do it on our Linux. But by the way, I'll show you how to do it on PowerShell too. All right. Okay. Ooh, Samantha Shade at MegaBigTech.com. MegaBigTech root certificate authenticator. Whew. This is what it's all about. We just got a cert used to authenticate to another user. That's lateral movement. This is a bingo. Okay, so I want to show you before we get into this Samantha user how to do this on PowerShell. So let's go ahead and... All right, so on PowerShell, you're going to want to use this command, get PFX certificate. And at that point, you put in the password that we found. And we are able to see the same information. Look here, CN, Samantha Shade, MegaBigTech. And very critically, we have this thumbprint as well, which is critical for a little bit short. In a little bit of time, you'll see why this thumbprint is useful for us in this lab. All right, so now that we have this, let's go ahead and authenticate. But before we do the correct method, I want to show you that usually, when you get a certificate like this, you might think, well, all right, we just pipe that cert into our AZ login command, and then we just get access that way. However, take a look at this. Take a look at this, what happens. So as you can see, I converted this cert into a .pem file. And then I tried to authenticate through AZ login. And look at what happens. It says, HUT is not a recognized command. Well, HUT is the password. However, the reason why this is not working is because you don't authenticate in the CLI with a cert just like you do with a service principal. Certificates are used differently for users than they are used for service principals. And so what that means for us is that we have to just put this cert into our browser. And once we add the cert, the PFX, we don't have to convert anything into the browser as a cert. Then we can sign in to the portal, and then the portal will give us an option saying, do you want to use the cert to log in? Or you can just go straight to this URL that is strictly for authenticating with certs. So I'll show you what I mean. If we go here, they close all of this incredible 360 stuff. And we go to sign out of Samantha. So you sign out of Samantha, and then we sign into Samantha. And then it said right there, if you saw it, it said, do you want to sign in with a certificate? And then it automatically took me back here because it forgot my decision. So I'm going to press it again. And that's how we just use the certificate to sign into Samantha. Now, before this, you're going to want to add your cert. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Firstly, you're probably using Chrome or something. So I'm going to show you on Chrome. Chrome is great, but actually, I think Chrome uses more CPU and stuff than Brave. But that's not why I'm using it. I'm using it for security reasons. All right, since we're here now, go to security, manage certificates, your certificates. And once you're here, you press manage your certificates. You go in here, you manage them, and you simply import the certificate that we downloaded. And once you do that, you go to this URL. Here, let's go to it again. Just because I'm not going to show you all my certificates real quick, but I'm going to show you after you do that, after you import your certificates through this place in the settings, you go in here and then this pop-up comes up and it's like, hey, select a certificate. And you obviously want to select your own certificate. If you want to select this HR certificate, then please go into my videos to find the service principle oriented lab. And that's where you're going to use this HR one. But for now, let's click on Samantha. And we are in. That is nice and dandy. So whilst we're here, why don't we go ahead and check out some stuff on the portal? The portal is always nice. Let's go over there. Ooh, we got, oh, never mind. This is the wrong count. Samantha. Signing in with my certificate automatically. That is just great. Now we are here. We see crypto ops and we see Microsoft Azure subscription. Okay. By the way, if you're here in the subscription and you want to see your scope, you can just go here to IAM, access control IAM, and press on role assignments. And see your role assignments. You can press on roles and see all the roles. And we'll come back here in a bit. But for now, let's go back to the home. And one thing over here is interesting. Now, let me tell you why it's interesting. Because this lab demonstrates a gap in our enumeration. Now, this gap shows the value of checking privileged managed identity. What is privileged managed identity? Well, privileged managed identity is a system through which your organization can provide sessional authentication for the workers to use things when they need it and only when they need it, preventing attackers from getting in while that worker is sleeping. Hey, John is sleeping. How is John accessing the entire infrastructure right now? Perhaps we're getting hacked. And so we use these sessional management sessions, these privileged identity management sessions in order to provide access for a short period of time. So if you go here to roles, and then we go to Azure Resources, we'll see that there is a session provided as a option for our user. And it seems that our user sometimes requires this role, crypto operators, in order to do certain functions and do the work. So if we click on activate, then we wait a little bit, it then asks us for a reason. Now, I don't want to get philosophical about this, But what is the correct reason? What is the correct reason for getting this session? And so it's still validating our request. I want to take this time to let you all know that I appreciate if you follow my Twitch and if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I think I got like 3 subscribers yesterday, so that was fun. But overall, you know, I like to review the labs. So this is my third lab through of this lab, and so far I did all of the premium labs 3 times and the free labs only 1 time. I feel like because they're free, then they're not that good. But I might be mistaken. We'll see if I pass the exam. So this is still validating my request. And I love bureaucracy. You know, bureaucracy gives you some time to think. I wonder what it's doing. Is there like paperwork? All right, anyways. Okay, there we go. So you can see here, we can choose the hours. So like if we're only going to work for 3 hours, you know, we go ahead and choose 3 hours or something. And then the reason you can make it up, unless, you know, it has to be real, and then you press activate. But since somebody else is doing the lab, I'm going to show you in here to the active assignments tab. This role is already active. And since it's already active, if we were to go to our home tab, back to Samantha, you can see that we have access to crypto ops. You're probably saying, like, we already had access to that. Why didn't you click it? Well, that's because we were at a point of the lab where we weren't supposed to see crypto ops. Now, either way, we have access to crypto ops. But before we go and do that, I want to show you back over here in the roles, how if we wanted to, for example, see, okay, well, we just got this role. What access do we have with this role? We can go ahead and say crypto. And as you can see, we here have crypto operator. So if we go and see the details of this custom role, you can see that we have view key vault and read key. And this is just what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and go to crypto ops. Go to the objects. Let's see what keys we got. Oh, crypto key. It's time to finally buy that house on the lake with my girlfriend. Not my girlfriend, because just get a wife. Okay, and we got crypto key. We're going to use this and get all of the crypto tokens and bitcoins. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy onto our computer. Hopefully it's not a honey, like a honey key meant to completely destroy us. So let's go ahead and download this. Download public key. Ooh, exfiltration successful. At this point, it's celebration time. But you know what? Let's keep going. We got secrets. No secrets. And last object to check is a certificate. And we have a certificate. So if you didn't get it the first time, a certificate means new access. And so since we have this certificate, we immediately need to get this bad boy onto our physical device and then use it in order to move laterally. Moving laterally gives you dopamine. So as you can see here, we have a file download error. And because of that, we're going to whip out our big bad PowerShell. Go ahead and authenticate to Samantha. Since we are authenticated already with our cert, then we don't have to do any certification stuff. It automatically authenticates for us. As you can see here, I outlined what we just did. We search subscriptions. We check the roles. We search the role that we want to know what we even got access to, and then we check the actions and the data actions to see what we can do. And as you can see here, we found that we can read certificate properties. We can read key properties and public data, and we can also sign keys. We can sign keys, which is crucial, because if we can sign keys, then that means that we can possibly sign a key for some other user or some other service principal's access. All right, so the same key vault, we get some information about it, and we see that we have this cert that we weren't able to download. Let's go ahead and use this command over here to get some information about the cert, SP automate cert. And this cert, I'll tell you what, we got to download this. Again, over here, crucial information. Why it's crucial is because this thumbprint is the same thumbprint associated with the service principal that this certification is used to authenticate to. And so if we cross-check this thumbprint to the service principal, then we'll know what we can authenticate to using this cert, which is what we're going to do. And other than that, there's some other information here. All right. Okay, so all right, so before we move forward, let's talk about what our strategy is for getting access to using this cert, to using our found cert and our key, and getting access to the service principal that's associated with this cert. Let's go ahead and talk about these quick notes over here and outline the strategy for us. Number one, create a JWT header and payload locally. So we have to create a JWT header and payload that represents the service principal that we're trying to get access to. The header should include the algorithm and all the other claims. And I'll show you a little bit on what these claims are. The payload contains the claims such as the audience, the issuer, the subject, and the not before and the expiry. Number two, after we get these payloads into our JWT or have it or make it, we sign the JWT using the key vault. And I'll show you how to do this through a great tool called Sato. But what we're going to do is we're going to use the key vault signing capabilities and our permissions to do so in order to sign the JWT header and payload with the private key associated with the certificate SP automate cert. Number three, construct complete JWT. Combine the encoded header, payload, and signature to form the complete JWT. Number four, request an access token from Entra ID using our newly signed JWT in order to get an access token that we can use to authenticate to, just like we authenticated to Samantha over here in the CLI. And lastly, authenticate as the service principal. We can just use that and we get in as the service principal. All right, so let's talk about JWTs. Let's talk about access tokens. Access tokens have all of these claims. And these claims are what we need to make sure aligns with our service principal in order for us to get the correct access token and to even successfully do so. And so with that being said, we talked a lot about this service principal, but who are we even talking about? Well, let's go ahead and figure that out over here. If we get these service principals, if we get all the service principals, which I'll do over here. So let's get the service principals. So long story short, this service principal just saves all of the applications to an applications.xml. And once we do that, you can do a grep command if you're on Linux, or if you're here on PowerShell, you can use a select string command in order to cross-reference the thumbprint that we have with the applications in here. And as you can see, we find the thumbprint in here, meaning the application is in here. So you go into this document and you get that application associated with this thumbprint. And if you do that, you'll find that the service principal that who we want to access is called the same as the cert, what was the CN on the cert, which is SP automate. And they have this app ID and they have this object ID, which stuff we're going to need in order to get our command for authentication correct. We have these key credentials. And here's where we found the thumbprint. All right. Now we can use Sado. And let's take a look at the strategy for what we're going to do with Sado. We're going to generate a JWT header and payload. We're going to request key vault, and meaning we're going to get an access key for key vault using our Samantha user. And we're going to use that key vault access token in order to sign the JWT using the SP automate cert key as well. Then we're going to submit this signed JWT to Enter ID's token endpoint in order to get an access token. All of this through Sado. Sado is great. And then we're going to use this to get access. All right, so let's pull out our Sado. And I know that Sado is demonstrated on PowerShell in the lab guide, and you can use it on PowerShell if you want, like a Windows host PowerShell. However, I'm using it on the PowerShell on my Kali, simply because I found it to be less problematic on Kali to use Sado. Maybe the owner developed it on a Linux originally or something, but let's go in here into Sado, and I'm here in my PowerShell in the Sado directory where I git cloned Sado from the GitHub, and then I use PowerShell in that directory in order to import Sado very quickly and easily and utilize it like this. And it is already imported. Yeah, as you can see here, it's right here, already imported, but I put it wrong. PSM1. Anyways, it's already imported. So let's go ahead and invoke Sado using the device code. Grant type device code, meaning we're going to sign in with the device code. This is crucial because after we take this device code, I'll show you over here. After we take this device code, we're going to grab it and put it into our browser that has the cert for Samantha already. So we go here to the device code login page to put in the device code. And since we already have Samantha access through the cert, we can use this same browser with the device code option to authenticate. And the only other option that is kind of relevant to what we're doing is this one right here, the specified predefined scope being the MAARM, which is specifying the management endpoint. And so we're going to get a management API token. And once we have this refresh token, that's what we wanted. Let's go ahead and put it as the refresh token and specify this token as a variable in our PowerShell environment for the next step. All right. We set the refresh token. And now what we want to do is use this refresh token to get specifically a key vault token. Now you're probably wondering, well, sir, why didn't we just specify the key vault token to begin with? However, you can do that if you want. All right, so now we have this key vault token. And now we're going to add that as a variable. Key vault token. Now we have specified the key vault token, which we need in order to sign the JWT token using that and using the cert. Now, for the cert, you're going to need to add it into your environment. Whether you're in Linux or you're in PowerShell, you add the cert into your environment. And now I have added that into my environment. So let me go ahead and explain this command to you. Whew, this is a big command. For this command, I highly urge you to take a deep breath. So with this command, we're going to use the grant type of, instead of device token, we're going to use JWT assertion sign. And we're going to specify the tenant ID, which we did before. This is publicly accessible. We're going to specify the app ID for the service principal. This is what we got earlier from cross-referencing the thumbprint. It's right over here, the app ID. And then we're going to specify the name of the key vault that we're going to use in order to sign, which is crypto ops. The certificate name, which we got, and what we're going to use, which is SB Automate Cert. The key vault token that we just got, which we added into our environment. And then the predefined scope for the type of access token that we want, which is a management API token. And then decode. Don't know why. Let's do it. Wow, that just worked. And so now we have this token. And Callie, sorry to use you and put you away, but now it's time for PowerShell. And over here in PowerShell, it's going to specify this token and add it into our environment. And we're going to call it assert token. All right. And now we just authenticate with our new assert token. Incredible. This just granted us access, and we didn't even use a real thing. We made our own access token. We made our own JWT, which got us our own access token. That is some incredible stuff. And so let's go ahead and see what we have access to. Okay, so it looks like CryptoOps has a container registry. All right, so a container registry is a container that is on Docker. And so if this container registry can be accessed, then we can get some information from the CryptoOps group of what they're developing in this container. Okay, so with that being said, let's connect. And if you try to connect here on PowerShell, you will find yourself an error if you don't connect to Docker beforehand on your computer. And so that means using the Docker app in order to be logged in and signed into Docker on your computer. And then you can log into this CryptoOps. And with that being said, you can now enumerate their Docker. But long story short, if I go ahead and show you the history, we then get the flag. So like I said, this lab was kind of big. I know that for us, it's only been 45 minutes, but this is a big lab and it's even labeled intermediate because of the amount of exploring that you can do. And I highly urge you to explore into the world of certificates and service principles and how to enumerate both and how to completely find your way around this labyrinth of hacking into services rather than users and even into users using certificates. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And please let me know in the comments what you would like to see in the future. Follow me on Twitch as well. Thank you and goodbye.